driving. Hope comes and stops us in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Yep, it's afternoon. So I give it till the regular 3-minute mark. In the meantime, I'm gonna mess around with my QR codes. All right. So now I can do QR codes here. I just want to see what it looks like. Ooh, see? Don't click it. Do not use that QR code. Support this stream. Oh, that's kind of cool. Oh, I guess you can. Someone scan the QR code. Okay. I don't know who would. Nobody's here. And that demo product. So if you have a product or something, that's kind of cool. All right. 7. What in the heck? What's this count right here? What have I done? Are there 8 people watching, or is there 8 QR codes? Okay. You guys, 7 users scanned the QR code. No way that happened. All right. I can't get rid of it. So, okay. Oh, we had fun messing around with QR codes. I doubt anybody did that. So, let me send a quick message. We're getting to that 3-minute mark, and I will get started on this word. Today, we're going to be talking about language of the heart, which is not just a book. It's been a long time since I read this. So, somebody scanned it again, huh? I don't know how they could when it's not even up. Okay. Welcome to Daily Trudge. Looks like I already lost some people. My name is Dion. I'll be your host today. I should have left my hair a little bit longer. Okay. And of course, if you are here, please say hello. Whether you're watching the live or the rewatch, it is nice to know, but certainly not required. All right. Add to block list. No, I don't want to add that to the block list. I just want to remove it. No. Okay. Nope, I have no power over that. So we are reading out of Language of the Heart. And we are reading Language of the Heart. So let's get into it. My workshop stands The Language of the Heart, written July 1960. And this is it has an asterisk from the Grapevine book AA Today, published on the occasion of AA's 25th anniversary. My workshop, and remember this is Bill, stands on a hill back of our home looking over the valley. I see the village community house where our local group meets. Beyond the circle of my horizon lies the one world of AA, 8,000 groups, 250,000 of us. How in 25 years did AA get the way it is? And where are we going from here? Often I sense the deep meaning of the phenomena of Alcoholics Anonymous, but I cannot begin to fathom it. Why, for instance, at this particular point in history, has God chosen to communicate his healing grace to so many of us? Who can say what this communication actually is? So mysterious and yet so practical. We can only partly realize that we have what we have received and what has meant to each of us. It occurs to me that every aspect of this global unfoldment can be related to a single crucial word. That word is communication. There has been a life-saving communication among ourselves with the world around us and with God. From the beginning, communication in AA has been unusual and sometimes unique. Because of our kinship in suffering and because our common means of deliverance are effective for ourselves only when constantly carried to others. Our channel of contract have always been charged with the language of the heart. And what is that? Let's see if I can communicate to you something of what it means to me. At once, I think of my own doctor, William Duncan Silkworth. Hey, we know his middle name now. It's Duncan. And how he ministered to me with the language of the heart during the last shattering years of my alcoholism. Love was his magic, and with it he accomplished this wonder. He conveyed to the foggy mind of the drunk that here was a human being who understood and who cared without limit. He was one who would gladly walk the extra mile with us, and if necessary, as it often was, even in the last mile at all. At that time, he had already tried to help over 20,000 drunks, and he had failed with nearly all. Only here and there had this dismal experience of futility been brightened by a genuine recovery. People wondered how often he could go on, how he could still believe in the possibility of help for chronic alcoholics. Yet he did believe with a faith that never faltered. He kept saying, someday we will find the answer. He had developed some idea of his own about what ailed drunks. They had an obsession to drink, a veritable and destructive lunacy. Observing that their bodies could no longer tolerate alcohol, he spoke of this as an allergy. Their obsession made them drink, and their allergy was the guarantee that they would go mad and die if they kept it up. Here, in contemporary terms, was the age-old dilemma of alcohol. Total abstinence, he knew, was the only solution. But how to attain that? If only he could understand them more and identify with them better, then his educational message could perhaps reach into some of those strange caverns of the mind where the blind compulsion to drink was entrenched. So the little doctor who loved drunks worked on, always in hope that the very next case might somehow reveal more of the answer. When I came to him, his more recent concepts and tactics had begun to produce slightly improved results. So he was encouraged, and he went after my situation with something of an enthusiasm and hope of a young doctor on his first critical case. He told me what an infernal malady alcoholism is and why. He made no promises, and he did not try to conceal the poor recovery rate. For the first time, I saw and felt the full gravity of my problem. I learned also for the first time that I was sick emotionally and physically. As every AA today knows, this knowledge can be enormous relief. I no longer needed to consider myself essentially a fool or a weakling. This new insight, plus the little doctor's account of a few of his good recoveries, brought me a surge of hope. But above all, my confidence rested on the understanding, the interest in the affection he had so freely given me. I was not alone anymore with my problem. He and I could work through. Despite several discouraging slips, I truly believed this for quite a while, and so did he. So what is the language of the heart? They've given us a couple of little clues here. It's unconditional love. It means meeting somebody where they are at and not expecting anything in return. That is the language of the heart. There's still a lot more to this chapter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of go towards the back here and read like the last 3-4 paragraphs. So it'll give us an idea. All right. The Skid Row man said he was different. Even more loudly, the socialized or Park Avenue stumblebum said the same. So did the practitioners of the arts and professions. So did the rich, the poor, the religious, the agnostic, the Indians, the Eskimos, the veterans, and the prisoners. But that was years ago. Nowadays, they all talk about how very much alike we alcoholics are when the chips are down. By 1950, this big one question remained unanswered. Could we communicate overseas? Could AA transcend the barriers of race, language, religion, culture, and wars? What about the Norwegians, the Swedes, the Danes, and the Finns? What about the Dutch, the Germans, the French, the English, the Scots, and the Israels? How about the African or the Boers, the Aussies, the Latins, the Japanese, the Hindus, and the Mohammeds? So Lois and I wondered a lot as we headed for Europe and Britain to see for ourselves that year. The moment we alighted in Norway, we knew that AA could and would go everywhere. We understood not one word of Norwegian. Scenes and customs alike were new and strange to us, yet there was a marvelous communication from the first moment. There was an incredible sensation of oneness, of being completely at home. The Norwegians were our people. Norway was our country too. They felt the same way about us. It shone in their faces. As we journeyed from land to land, we had the same magnificent adventure and kinship over and over again. In Britain, we met with the most wonderful love and understanding. In Ireland, we were one with the Irish. Everywhere, it was the same. This was something much greater than people cordially meeting people. That's okay. It's good to see you. I'm getting ready to wrap up. Maybe I'll go a little bit longer. We'll see what happens. This was something much greater than cordially meeting people. This was no merely interesting comparison of mutual experience and aspirations. This was far more. This was the communication of the heart to heart in wonder, in joy, and in everlasting gratitude. Lois and I knew then that AA could circle the globe, and it has. And oh yeah, has it. Since that time, we're in AA. I'd have to pull up and the numbers have obviously increased even from the fourth edition, which was put out in 2000. That was 23 years ago. Right? Our society hasn't changed much. We have the opioid crisis going on now. Back then, it was crack or meth. Same thing going on, right? Just different drug. So for me, the language of the heart, and I kind of described it a little bit earlier, was unconditional love. No. And I really liked the beginning of that where he said, what happened that God saw enough grace to bless enough of his children to get AA started? See, that one little move right there has created. Hazelton would not be around. There's a lot of things that would not be available if it wasn't for AA. Okay. Is AA old and outdated? I don't think that it is. AA is not teaching anything different. It's from the Bible, my friends. I call the big book, Bible for Dummies. Bible goes right over my head, man. Whoosh, right? So meeting others where they are at and then loving them for exactly who they are. There's not much more to that, but it takes a while to accomplish that. You have to be okay in your own skin. You're going to have to do some things. I wanted to talk about relapse real quick. I want to talk about slips and relapses. A slip is you go out and come right back. Okay? Let's say you went out for the weekend, you come right back. A relapse means you got the case of the fuckets again. Okay? I've had plenty of slips. I've had one relapse. Lasted 15 years. Okay? But this is what I didn't really want to point out the difference between a slip and a relapse. But there is a difference. So, you too, Ingrid. Love you, honey. What I want to let you know is that if you do have a slip, I know we change our dates. Sometimes people don't. It's not up to me. But you didn't lose everything. You didn't lose everything. Maybe you had 6 months before that. You're on the 4th step. You should still be on the 4th step. I had a relapse I had a slip. See, I did it. I had a slip during my 4th step. And what we did is my sponsor, he said, Dion, okay, you had a slip. Oh, that's all we talked about. That was it. He said, what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the 3rd step. And we spent an hour going back over the 3rd step. And then I got back to work on my 4th. Just like that. Okay. You do not need to go all the way back. That's not required. You just have to slip. Do you know how many times people slip during these? Have you actually read the stories? How many times did Bill slip before it caught on? Okay. Well, after his spiritual experience, he had no more slips. Right. But there, we go through those things. And I don't want you to think you lost it all. Okay. I had 12 years of sobriety and I came back in, and a good friend of mine, Terry, said, Dion, you did not lose your 12 years of sobriety, but you're going to have to work to get them back. And he was right. And I got him back. Me too. I like my date. I ain't changing it again. Yeah. Yep. I like this one. Aw. I think this is very sweet, but I think that's a good way to show your gratitude to that person. Somebody that overdoses is not a bad person. I do not see them that way. I think they go to heaven. Right? I don't think God is going to get mad at you for your mental illness. It's when you start beating on his children, he gets upset. So don't do that. All right, that's what I got. I will see everybody tomorrow for the Daily Trudge. All right. I love you. Peace out and have a day.